Thank you, Ambassador Sybil, Ambassador Kumar, for the invitation. It's indeed an honor to be here to be speaking at the Indo-American Friendship Association and about an issue which is so relevant today. I think Ambassador Sybil, I agree with many of his statements where he was redefining or putting out there the changing geopolitical framework. And I think that this is, as I said, a very apt and a timely discussion, being 3 months after the last BRICS summit. Today we are standing on the edge of a changing world order, where, as my foreign minister recently stated, we are accelerating towards a multipolar world, where wealth and power is rapidly moving from the north and the east, north and the west, to the east and the south, and which is giving rise to new configurations and networks of states, such as BRICS. In terms of a South African perspective on BRICS, South Africa's foreign policy contends that our national interests are best safeguarded not just by focusing on our own national interests, but broadly on the interests of our region and our continent. South Africa, although the smallest member of BRICS, participates as an equal partner, bringing unique elements to the table due to its historical political transformation process, the comparative advantage of its considerable non-energy mineral wealth, where South Africa is in fact ranked the world's richest country in terms of its mineral reserves. South Africa is also recognized as a committed and global regional player in terms of our global governance structures, as well as our position within organizations of the South, notably the African Union, the Group of 77 in China, the basic climate change grouping. South Africa is also the only African country represented in the G20, which has become an important institution on reform of the financial and economic global governance architecture. And indeed, South Africa has also served twice as non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. That's twice within 3 cycles. South Africa has always been at the forefront of promoting more inclusive formations and more equitable participation of notably emerging markets and developing economies in the world system and its decision-making structures. This belief stems from our core conviction that Africa has to be reprioritized in the global system to assume its rightful place. Therefore, through BRICS, South Africa wants to ensure that our membership of BRICS also benefits the entire African continent. This was illustrated when we hosted the 5th BRICS Summit in South Africa with the theme BRICS in Africa, Partnership for Development, Integration and Industrialization, and the subsequent BRICS Africa Retreat with the theme Unlocking Africa's Potential, BRICS and Africa Cooperation on Infrastructure. I just want to bring it towards the Fortaleza Declaration and the developments that took place there. South Africa saw the Fortaleza Summit as a historic and seminal moment in the post-Bretton Woods era, as BRICS leaders witnessed the BRICS finance ministers signing the 2 founding agreements on the new development bank and the contingent reserve arrangement. Indeed, President Zuma hailed the establishment of the new development bank as an everlasting legacy that will change the face of global economics and the face of all of the developing world for the better. It is also important to note at this juncture that African leadership, i.e. the African Union chairperson, the chairperson of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, and the chairperson of the African Union Commission, had requested President Zuma to engage with BRICS leaders on the importance and significance of this initiative for the aspirations of the African continent. We're all aware, I'm not going to go into the details and the breakdown of the new development bank in terms of the allocation of authorized capital, the subscribed amounts, which is going to be $10 billion with $2 billion per partner. We also are aware that the bank is going to be located in Shanghai, with its Africa Regional Center established in South Africa concurrently. The leaders again tasked the BRICS Ministers of Finance in the run-up to the next summit to operationalize the headquarters and, very importantly for South Africa, its regional office. The decision to open the African Regional Center demonstrates the appreciation which BRICS has for South Africa's globally recognized financial credentials, and also considering the need that the majority of projects which we see which are going to be proposed to the bank are in fact going to come from the African continent. which makes it easy to manage, easy to identify, and easy to ensure compliance. The new development bank is aimed at achieving the central desired objective, namely to ensure that funding becomes available for priority infrastructure and sustainable development projects in developing countries. The contingent reserve arrangement is also a sign that Africa, or that the BRICS countries are developing in terms of their own ability to sustain their economies among themselves. Although this will bear no immediate or direct financial implications and will only be activated once a member state calls for capital and according to an agreed share. It will also be recalled that at the 5th BRICS Summit, South Africa activated the provision made in the Sanya Declaration for dialogue with other countries, notably developing countries. This was initiated, as I mentioned, when South Africa met with the Africa leaders at the Africa Leaders Retreat at the end of the 5th BRICS Summit. In Fortaleza, the Brazilian president again invited the leaders of South America to meet with the BRICS leaders. The leaders endorsed and welcomed the new Development Bank initiative and indicated they had proposals and were ready to participate. They also added that there have been many attempts since the Second World War to launch such an initiative, and that the new Development Bank is the first tangible outcome in this regard. However, BRICS does not only operate at the summit level, it also has two very important working groups which were formed at the 5th BRICS Summit in eThekwini in South Africa, namely the BRICS Business Forum and the BRICS Think Tanks Council. It is South Africa's position that these two bodies bring down to an operational level the decisions which are taken within a summit environment. The second BRICS Council meeting took place in Rio in March. In terms of the BRICS Think Tank Council, it is important that BRICS generate its own thinking and new ideas and future directions. I think we all heard previously the perceptions which exist around the world in terms of BRICS, and many of these perceptions are actually generated by northern or western orientated think tanks. So it's time that BRICS needs to, especially within its academic sphere, especially with the academic resources which it has, to generate its own thinking on BRICS. The BRICS Think Tank Council is also developing a long-term strategy for BRICS, for multilateral and mutual cooperation amongst each other. In terms of the BRICS Business Council, this is deepening relations between the captains of industry of the various countries and is designed to strengthen business ties among member states. In Fortaleza, the chair of the Business Council stressed that there was more collaboration rather than competition between the companies of the member states, and that each BRICS country should see other BRICS members as gateways to the countries in their vicinity. Part of the integration dialogue was also that of shared experiences, so that what worked in one BRICS country could be studied and replicated in other BRICS countries. As I near the end of my presentation, it must be remembered that BRICS represents 5 major economic and international powers that are at different stages of their development. That, because of their geographic positioning, systems of government, and history, have different opinions and political positions on some issues. However, as a recent study of BRICS summarized, there are 3 broad principles between the BRICS which draws us together, namely the no use or threat of force in international relations. Secondly, importance of a multilateral approach to addressing global issues. And thirdly, a recognition of the G20 as a premier institution for dealing with global economic and financial matters. In conclusion, South Africa clearly sees a deepening of BRICS. If one looks at the various declarations which have emanated from the 6 BRICS summits so far, one can note that it has moved from a traditional economic statement to very much dealing with political issues, and now increasingly issues of a social level. The BRICS Summit has also identified new areas of cooperation which are going to take place, hopefully led by Brazil as we go into the next round. South Africa is very positive about its position within BRICS and where BRICS is heading, and we look forward to be part of that. Thank you.